Thank you very much. Joining me now is a very special guest. I'm joined by Yann Philippin. He is from the French portal, investigative portal Mediapart, which has brought out the latest Rafale expose, one of series of exposes brought out by Mediapart there, the French-based investigating website. Thanks very much, Yann, for joining me. I want to first come straight to the big expose that you've come up with to get clarity on it. Number one, am I right to say that you have, as you've shown, documents which are allegedly invoices that Sushen Gupta, the alleged middleman, raised against the manufacturer of Rafale, Dassault, for about 7.5 million euros between 2007 and 12 for facilitating the Rafale deal. So were these kickbacks given to him in this 5-year period? Because the actual deal was signed in 2015.
Yes, that's exact. But as you know, there's been two periods in the deal. First period is a tender for 126 aircraft that has been launched under the UPA government. And this tender has been won by Dassault in 2012. And then between 2012 and 2015, so under the two governments, UPA and then BJP, there's been an attempt to finalize this contract, this first contract. And this was a failure. And then in 2015, the actual Prime Minister, Mr. Modi, decided to cancel the tender and to sign an intergovernmental agreement for only 36 aircraft. And yes, indeed, the documents that we reveal prove that the middleman Sushen Gupta that helped Dassault during the process received 7.5 million euros of secret commission through allegedly fake invoices and through a shell company in Mauritius, yes, between 2007 and 2012, so meaning during the tender process.
So he got his kickbacks during the tender process. He had nothing to do with the final deal that was signed by Prime Minister Modi in 2015?
No, he was also involved during the final deal. And that's what's really interesting, is that Mr. Gupta's activity was during the whole process. Because what we revealed in a previous investigation already published by Mediapart in April is that when the final deal, the intergovernmental agreement, has been negotiated under the Modi government back in 2015 and 2016, Mr. Gupta was still the middleman of Dassault. And most importantly, he obtained secret documents from the Indian Ministry of Defense about the activity of the Indian negotiators. And more precisely, he obtained very sensitive documents about the way the Indian negotiators were calculating the prices of the aircraft, which is, of course, very important for such an expensive contract, which is around 8 billion euros. And shortly after this, after this second phase, Mr. Gupta also received money from Dassault, but in another way. One of his companies obtained a 1 million euro contract to manufacture Rafale models. And it also received offset contracts, on the final deal. But unfortunately, we could not discover how much these offset contracts are worth. So to sum up, he's been active during the two periods, and he has been paid by Dassault during the two periods of the contract, both the tender and the intergovernmental agreement.
You're saying something very important. You're telling me that Sushen Gupta got bribes or kickbacks both during 2007-12, the tender process, and during the finalization of the intergovernment agreement, because the documents that you have put out only confine themselves to 2007-12, but you're telling me that Sushen Gupta was involved all the way to 2015-16 to the finalization of the deal, and therefore he got kickbacks at both times. But you have evidence only for 2007-12. Am I correct?
No, we also have evidence for the other period. The story that we published on Sunday is about new evidence during the tender process, so the UPA era. But in previous reports that we already published and that are available online, we already published evidence of Mr. Gupta's activity and Mr. Gupta remuneration by Dassault during the final phase of the contract under BJP government. So no, we have proof about the two periods, but it's just that our latest report is about the first period.
Right. So he also got benefits from the offset contracts once the deal was finalized. That's what you're saying.
Yes, and that's not me that's saying it. That's Dassault itself. Because, you know, it comes from an official press release in which Dassault published the names of several Indian companies that benefited from these offsets. And among these names, there is, of course, Reliance, which participation in this offset has caused major turmoil already. But in this list of Indian companies benefiting from the offset, there is also a company called DevSys Solutions, which belongs to the Gupta family. So Dassault itself is acknowledging
both during the UPA
government
governments
offset contracts.
Right. So Yann, governments changed in India, but Mr. Gupta continued to work with Dassault and got benefits both during the UPA time and the NDA time.
Exactly.
Okay. Also importantly, you've said that on October 11, 2018, the Attorney General of Mauritius, because it was through a Mauritius company that Gupta got these kickbacks, that the Attorney General of Mauritius wrote to the Indian government saying that Gupta was the beneficiary, was the middleman. Am I correct?
Yes, that's the other very interesting revelation that Mediapart published on Sunday evening, is that, so on the 11th of October 2018, the CBI director received documents from the Attorney General of Mauritius proving the payment of 7.5 million euros commissions from Dassault to Mr. Gupta between 2007 and 2012, so during the tender process. And what's even more interesting is that just 1 week earlier, on the 4th of October, the director of CBI had also received a complaint that of alleged corruptions that was about the second phase of the deal, what happened during Mr. Modi's government. And so in just a period of time of 1 week, the CBI received documents and serious allegations about both periods of the contract, both UPA and BGP. And despite this, the CBI decided not to open an investigation.
You know, you're saying something again huge. You're telling me that Mr. Gupta's kickbacks were known to the CBI, or documentary trail was available as early as October 2018. This is an interesting period because this is the very period when the CBI director, then CBI director Alok Verma is replaced. You're telling me that those documents were with the CBI, but they did not prosecute Mr. Gupta, who interestingly, Yann, was then prosecuted and arrested in the Augusta Westland helicopter case.
Exactly. It's exactly what happened. You know, the CBI received these documents. Yes, indeed, the CBI director has been abruptly fired. I don't remember exactly, but I think it's around 10 days or 2 weeks later. You know, I don't know why.
Yes,
I know that there's been allegations in the Indian press that there could be a link with these Rafale problems, but again, I don't know. It's what I read in Indian newspapers. So there's still a mystery about the reasons why the CBI director has been fired. But what is sure is that the CBI knew about all this as early as October 2018 and didn't open a probe.
And what are the French authorities doing about it? The fact that until now Dassault has claimed that there were no kickbacks given, they continuously insist that they gave no kickbacks. How do you see it now playing out, given the fact that the French authorities are also, there's a judge who's supposed to investigate this very trail?
So we'll see. In fact, what happened is that when Mediapart published its first series of revelations that we call the Rafale papers back in April 2001, this triggered a complaint from an NGO that filed basically a new complaint based on Mediapart's reports to the French justice. And as a consequence, the French justice opened a probe in the month of July, so in July 2021, which has been handed over to two independent investigating judges. And now, basically, that's up to them to investigate.
I want, therefore, one final clarification, Yann, because what you're saying is critical. You're saying kickbacks received during the tender process 2007 to 12 UPA times, and then again benefits, kickbacks received during the signing of the intergovernmental agreement to Sushen Gupta on both stages. The final documents giving this trail were provided to the CBI in 2018. These are the three parts, in a sense, of your story. Am I correct? 27 to 2012, what happens in 2015, 2016, and then in 2018?
Yeah, that's exactly that. To be very
it appears,
precise,
would I be right in calling it a giant cover-up?
The evidence that the CBI received on October 2018 from Mauritius was about the tender process. But just at the same moment, they also received a complaint over allegation of favoritism and alleged corruption during the second phase of the process. And basically, these facts were known already 3 years ago.
Okay, so the complaint was in the context of what had happened in 2015-16. The documents were in the context of 2007 to 12. The CBI did not act. The supposition is because possibly Mr. Gupta, therefore, was the beneficiary of both of what had happened both during UPA and NDA.
You know, I don't want to speculate. You know, I'm a reporter, so I just want to speak about what I know about facts. So I don't know. I'm not inside CBI. I don't know why they decided not to investigate. But all I can say is...